All right, so I decided to make this quick video just to describe something really irritating right now for me personally. So I had to go to court today to uh, uh, defend myself in a case, and I got to make this quick video because my laptop, I can't find the charger, so I got to work on that. But I got convicted, I guess, of harassing my neighbor. So I wanted to tell a story because I think it speaks to our system right now. So the last couple of years, right? Our neighbor kind of disappears all of a sudden. Our neighbor, I trusted this guy, not around my kids. Don't trust anybody around my kids or whatever. I have two young daughters, but out of all my neighbors, this is one of the people that I trusted most. You know, I thought they were fine people, good people, whatever. All of a sudden he disappears. I don't notice because I don't notice things like that, but my wife does, and she talks to the neighbor across the street. Well, it turns out that, and again, I'm trying to keep this short. So it turns out that he has been sexually assaulting his granddaughter for however long. Okay, and she ended up in some sort of mental ward or something like that. He ended up getting charged with assaulting her. So as soon as I hear that, the next time I see him, I have some words for him. He had come back to the house. His family had kicked him out for a period of time. He came back to the house, and I had some words for him. The granddaughter had to leave and stuff like that. So I was bringing my kids back from sledding, middle of the winter, and I tell my kids to go inside, and I just tell them that he's a sicko, so on and so forth. That's it. So I'm thinking about this. I'm like, you know what? Benefit of the doubt. I better wait until this guy is convicted until I have any more words for him. So I do. I fully wait until he's convicted. He serves 30 days in jail. 30 days in jail for sexually assaulting his granddaughter. Now, here's the kicker, okay? Apparently, he has been convicted of exposing himself to somebody, to minors or whatever, back in the 80s. Then he sexually assaulted his daughter, but they chose not to report him to the police and instead go with the counselor, which obviously didn't work out too well. And they allowed the grandkids around him, okay, around him, even after that, right? So this guy shows a lifelong, at least through his adulthood, shows the ability to be able to harm children. Yet he's allowed in polite society, he's allowed at his family's house, he's allowed to do this, and he gets 30 days in jail. His granddaughter was in the mental home for longer than he was in jail. Okay. So this really pisses me off. So I have a party like 2 days after he gets out of jail, not related to that. I had a bunch of coworkers over. We went to go play paintball, stuff like that. But back up 1 second. I decide I'm going to write a Facebook message because it saved a lot of time. We have community Facebook, so on and so forth. So I write a Facebook message. I copy his charges, put it on the neighborhood Facebook out there for everyone to see. His convictions and so on and so forth. A lot of the neighbors see it, but not all of them see it. So my goal in life is to I'm not gonna say make this dude uncomfortable, but is to let the neighborhood know this neighborhood filled with kids around his granddaughter's age, filled with kids. Okay, like our house, 2 doors down from him, across the street from him, all over the place. Okay. So I make the neighborhood aware through Facebook, right? And then some people message me and stuff like that. I let them know what's going on, and then I print out copies of his charges. Okay. Now I know he sees the Facebook thing. I know that the family sees that. It's obviously the way they act towards me, the next interaction that I have. So I have this party at my house. We're doing fireworks in the backyard, and he comes outside, or his wife comes outside and starts yelling at me because the dog is impeded, whatever. The dogs are freaking out. So I apologize because my intention was not to annoy the dogs or them for that matter. I was just having fireworks with my friends in my backyard, which is completely legal in the state that I live in. So I at first I apologized, but she keeps going. So I said, "Hey, stop touching kids." She said, "It wasn't me that touched the kids." I said, "No, it was your husband." The son, who's about 40 years old, loser, don't know if he works or not, has always lived at home with his parents. He yells out, "Shut the F up." So I politely tell him, and not so politely, I guess, "Come outside. You got a problem? Come on out, dude. I'm waiting for you. Come on over." So of course he doesn't do anything. He goes inside. That's the end of that. Um, Again, perfectly legal to light off fireworks, everything like that. But by the way, rewind just a second. he was working at college around college age girls all the time, girls that were a couple of years older than his victim. So I nixed that real quick, called the college as soon as he did get charged to let them know about the charges, and they let him go that day. Unfortunately, I think he was eligible for some sort of early retirement or something like that. So um, I light off a couple fireworks later on at night. These are, again, regular fireworks, and they call the police. The police come. The cops like, look, I mean, I don't know. Hey, can you stop lighting the fireworks? I guess. Tells me it's the whole thing is stupid. Whatever. Okay. They're clearly mad at me, so they're trying to take that out on me. Whatever. So that is what it is, right? So a couple days go by, maybe a week, something like that. And I see him taking out the trash. I'm taking out the trash. I see him taking out the trash. And so I said to him, hey, nice ankle bracelet, just like that. He said some words back to me. So I took the sidewalk chalk. I went over to the front of his house in the street and wrote down a bunch of my thoughts, right? That sex offenders should be locked up. Nothing violent, nothing threatening, no curse words. The cop actually commended me for that. And then his wife calls the police. Police come, cops, super cool, super nice. I said, officer, I'm sorry, but I'm not cleaning that up. He asked me to clean up. I said, no, I'm sorry. He's like, well, I have to arrest you, this and that. I said, go ahead. I'm sorry, but go ahead. He didn't want to do that, which I appreciate. So then he said, if it's not cleaned up by tomorrow, then I'll give you a citation. So I said, officer, politely, I said, will this make your job harder if you have to write the citation? He said, no. Well, that or arrest me. And I said, well, then I'm not washing it off. So the next day he comes by, he decides against the citation because he understands I got 2 young daughters. This guy's outside all the time. I got to now manage my daughters outside time, middle of the summer. They want to go out playing the sprinkler, stuff like that. I have to tell them, no, not unless that weirdo is inside, only on the side of the house that he can't see, so on and so forth. It's worst, right? The worst thing, that you could imagine. I'm sure some of you guys know. So I don't get a citation there. A couple days go by, I get creative, and I'll admit what I did. I don't care. I admitted it to the court, and I take his charges, a bunch of paper copies of them, and I fold them into little paper airplanes. I make good paper airplanes, by the way. I had to look it up online, but I make really good ones, and flew them all into his yard. Okay, and I would do like 6 to 10 a day. Yeah, I mean, it was funny. You know what I'm saying? I confronted him a bunch of times. I'll have to put those videos up. I did tape it about his granddaughter. I wanted to let him know what I thought about him. And from my yard, never crossed over his yard, never threatened him, never even came close to it. Okay. But he calls the cops a couple more times, for those things. Okay. So I'm trying to think of if there's anything else in between there. But either way, the police show up, like 3 or 4 more times. So finally, what's pissing me off about the police is that they keep telling me different things. The first officer told me, hey, you can put a sign in your own yard. You can write in front of your own property with chalk. Those things are fine. Then the goalpost keeps moving. So finally, I do what, I assume is the safest thing. And I make a sign and put it in my own yard. And it says his name, molested his granddaughter. How many other victims does he have? Why does society allow this? And I pointed facing, facing the direction of his house, but really facing the road. That's the biggest thing, on a tree in my property so everybody can see. So they call the police again. The cop that shows up is a dick. I wouldn't be surprised if he has done some weird stuff in his life because he's way too into protecting this guy. So he the most condescending prick I've ever met in my life. Exactly why I don't like most police officers, not all, most police officers, speaks directly through that guy. He is the most arrogant loser. Dude, you're a state cop. You're not like this superstar, okay? I know you think you have all this power and whatnot, but we have the Constitution. You're a tool bag, and you're not doing any favors for your cause. Nothing at all, okay? So the guy comes out. I had it out with him on the phone the prior day. He had told me that if I felt like the neighbor was looking at my kids, then to call them. So I did, because he was staring right at my kids, almost purposely to try to irritate me. And he said, well, I don't know what you want me to do. I was just out there. arrogant prick, protecting pedophiles, which I'll get to in a second. So I put the sign up. So he comes out, oh, take that down. Do you really want to get arrested in front of your kids? You know what I don't want to do is I don't want to capitulate to a goddamn pedophile in front of my kids. That's what I don't want to do. Okay. What I don't want to do is send the signal to my kids that is okay for old 65-year-old men, 60-year-old men to go and take the innocence away from young children, young girls repeatedly in their life. What I don't want them to think is that no one, including their father, will stand up for them or people like them. I don't care if I get arrested. I've been charged with felonies upon felonies, violent felonies in my past, but nothing ever like that. For, a fight in high school, stuff like that, okay? I don't care. The only thing I care about, the only thing I have interest in is keeping my job, keeping my kids safe. Those are the two things I have interest in. And so, sure, arrest me in front of my kids. If you want to protect a pedophile, go ahead, arrest me in front of my kids. So I have a Blue Lives Matter sign in front of my house too, or, sticker or whatever on my mailbox. So when the guy asked me to remove the sign, I said, what, that one? He ha ha ha. I took the sign down, okay? Because I said, you know what? I don't want to stress my wife out. I don't want to stress the kids out. They're already worried about it. So I said, okay, fine. Right? I took the sign down. He comes back, gives me the citation anyways. I said, okay, well, I need to figure out what the line is. He goes, well, then come to court. So I said, okay. So I fought not guilty on the 2 citations I had gotten for harassment, so on and so forth. There's a couple other charges. So I go in today to that. Well, I didn't realize that this was going to be like a full trial, or I would have prepared a lot more questions. But I go in, I get found not guilty on the first one. And the second one, we sit down, and this police officer is literally representing this quote unquote victim, this sex offender who touched his granddaughter repeatedly. Okay. Repeatedly. And this guy says that someone has been sending him mail. Okay. That's addressed to pedo man. I don't know anything about that. Okay. So as far as the court knows, I know nothing about that. Okay. But like different magazines and stuff like that. I think he said something about a camping magazine. I don't know. Anyways, I guess he canceled his subscriptions. So imagine having to call up and say, hey, I'm pedo man, and I need to cancel my subscriptions to your magazine. It's got to be pretty crazy. So I show up to court. This cop comes in, again, arrogant as ever. I say good morning to him. I'm a polite person. I really am. Okay. To the cop, I say good morning to him. We sit down, and he wants me to plead guilty because he doesn't want to deal with this. So he has to go in, and he's showing these pictures, protecting this pedophile. This pedophile is giving his case as to why I'm guilty of this crime. And I say, look, Judge, Your Honor, and I ask a couple questions on the stand and stuff like that. I'm representing myself. I didn't even know I was going to have to do this. I give my closing arguments. My whole thing is that I put a sign up in my own property to make my neighbors aware. The state, quote unquote, the police officer's argument was that Megan's Law is sufficient, that Megan's Law does that. My argument was that you could poll my neighborhood. I doubt that everyone goes on Megan's Law every single day to check to make sure that nobody has created a victim in their neighborhood, right? And I stand by that 150%. Megan's Law is not enough. People think that Megan's Law means that these perpetrators need to go door to door and tell you what they've done. People think that they need to have some sort of identifier or sign outside their house. They don't. The judge said to me that I am punishing him past the point of the state's punishment. Okay. That's insane. I am not punishing him by putting up a sign on my property. And I'm going to continue to do this, by the way, too. Just going to have to get more creative with the signs, and I'll document what happens. And I have all the video evidence and things like that, right now. And I'll put those up online as well. This is sort of an intro video into this because I am not going to stop. I'm going to step things up. And if I need to get arrested for this, then I will. I will be a martyr to this cause. I don't care. I'm not going to play this game with this sicko next door to me. This guy has created victims. When you create victims, in my mind, you become less than human. You've now created victims. There's a problem there, right? There's a specific distinction there. You've ruined somebody else's life, okay? And so yours should not be comfortable because the state is protecting you. It's disgusting and sick. And I am going to appeal my guilty plea. Now you might go, well, why would you? Come on, it's like a $250 fine. That's what they end up sanctioning with. And you beat the first case, you get back some of your money anyways. I don't care. Okay, I'm not gonna get a lawyer, but if I can make this sicko stand in front of a judge and repeatedly say the words that he has been convicted of sexually assaulting his granddaughter, then whatever I can do, whatever I can do. My suggestion is that you go on Megan's law. Don't threaten anybody. Don't hurt anybody. It's ridiculous. Never, I would never suggest you that. But you check to see who's near you. And no one that has created a victim out of a child should live comfortably, should be able to forget what they've done. Okay. They're everywhere. Guarantee you have one near you. So just make sure you keep that in mind. Keep me in your thoughts and prayers, my family. And most importantly, keep this person's granddaughter in your prayers. Seriously, there's victims here. Okay. That girl for life, she's gonna have problems for life. Okay. And anybody that's been a victim of sexual assault, I've seen so many sick things in my life. Okay. You never forget. You'll never forget. She'll be 85 years old. Okay. And she'll be thinking about the time that her grandfather, someone that she's supposed to trust, someone that's supposed to care for her grandfather took away her innocence. It's sick and disgusting. And society needs to do better than Megan's law. Thank you. Have a great day.